Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hivemind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Alright, so the other day, yesterday, I covered the hypocrisy of Nancy Pelosi, and of course, the inconsistencies and total contradiction when it comes to pretty much everything that she said about stimulus packages before and post-election. Well, I didn't exactly go too much into the stimulus package itself. That is a video for today. And of course, it makes sense considering it's a 6,000-page bill. That takes a little while for people looking into it to really find all of the little goodies. And man, what an absolute joke Washington is. I'm not kidding when I say this. Without President Donald Trump, the idea of America first is dead. Joe Biden wasn't kidding when he said he was going to go after the notion of America first. When he said America first means America last. No, America last means America last. And that's the exact perspective of Washington. That's the exact perspective of these crony Democrats. And of course, these crony GOP Republicans who have completely betrayed you, your president, and the populist movement that voted them into office in the first place. This stimulus package is a complete farce. It's not even about helping Americans. It's about helping pretty much everyone but Americans, because really, what's $600 gonna do? And that $600 relief is maybe like 15% of the actual bill itself, not even. And so we gotta cover this whole thing, folks. We gotta expose the Democrats, we gotta expose the GOPers, and more importantly, we gotta expose this bill for exactly what it is. A piece of trash package that belongs only one place, and that's in the paper shredder. So we're gonna get into that, but before we do, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. Now with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Alright, so the Senate just passed a 6,000-page COOF relief stimulus bill. And it's interesting, it's called a COOF relief and stimulus package, but that's really not what it is. That's not the core of what this package is. Anything but. And keep in mind, before we get into anything, only 6 GOP senators voted against the Democrats' stimulus bill. And so you have to question yourself, did they even read the damn bill? Let's start off with a little bit of basic math. And Spike Cohen on Twitter did it for us. $600 times 328 million people is $1.96 billion. And that's if pretty much every American gets it. This bill is worth $900 billion. Guess who's getting that other $700 billion? Well, let's just say it's not the American people. The notion of America first is dead, and I wasn't kidding when I said that. Billions going to foreign aid in spending bill, gender programs in Pakistan, and Sri Lanka ship refurbishments. Yup. Let's go through all of these atrocities. Exhibit number 1. Assistance. Of the funds appropriated under Title III of this act that are made available for assistance for Pakistan, not less than $15 million shall be made available for democracy programs, and not less than $10 million shall be made available for gender programs. Yup. Wake up, folks. That's what your hard-earned tax dollars are paying for. Number 2. Assistance. Of the funds appropriated under Title III and IV of this act, not less than $1.5 billion shall be made available to support implementation of the Indo-Pacific Strategy and Asia Reassurance Initiative, Act of 2018. And let me just glance over that once more. That's $1.5 billion, right? Yep. $1,482 million being shipped right out of your borders, from your pocket straight to another country. $700 million to remain available until September 30th, 2022, which shall be for assistance for Sudan. Just a little $700 million here, folks. Nothing to pay attention to. It's just the Economic Support Fund. Next exhibit. Of the funds appropriated under Title III and under the heading International Narcotics Control and Law Enforcement of this act, not less than $135 million shall be made available for assistance in Burma. Next, Cambodia. Assistance. Of the funds appropriated under Title III of this act, not less than $85 million shall be made available for assistance for Cambodia. The international racket of shipping your money overseas continues, friends. Washington doesn't work for you. Washington works for the globalist cabal, subsidizing foreign interests with your hard-earned taxpayer dollars. And we're not talking about investing in another country to create mutually beneficial agreements. If that was the case, honestly, I'd be all for it. We're talking about funding crony foreign government establishments playing with your hard-earned money like it's funny money. You know, spending money to invest and get something back is one thing. Giving away your money to corrupt dictatorships to throw it around and continuously perpetuate human rights violations, that's a whole other. That's what your money goes to. That is why people continue to struggle. That is why minority communities within the US struggle to fund their schools, struggle to fund their roads, everything. This is why your community is not improving. But of course, who would you blame? You blame Donald Trump. And instead, you voted for Joe Biden, who's going to continually perpetuate this exact notion. It's a racket, folks, and I've called it that for a real long time. You don't need to defund the police to fund all of your programs. You need to defund Washington so you can use your money effectively on what you need instead of giving it to these crony elitists who are shipping it everywhere but your communities and out of your pocket. And it seems that lefties are actually finally starting to realize this. One of my best friends has been sending me all kinds of stuff from the bill, and he framed this whole thing as the Great Awakening, that lefties are probably getting a massive red pill right now. Well, interestingly enough, a couple hours later, and this is trending on Twitter, hashtag vote them all out. Check out some of these tweets. One from political grifter himself, Sean King. Why does the United States government just give $500 million to Israel when it is literally one of the richest countries in the world and we have people who can barely get by right now? It's not justifiable. And you know what? I agree with Sean King. A little bit interesting, but yeah. Alyssa Milano, political grifter number 2. Between 30 and 40 million families are at risk of eviction, but Congress can only afford $600 per person. I'm pretty sure the $500 million in arms and military aid to Israel and the $2 billion for Air Force missiles will help keep them warm when they are on the streets. Now, I do find it a little bit interesting that they only go after Israel. Seems like that's a trend on the left side of politics, but it's not just Israel. It's so many different countries. Just look at this list right over here. Money being spent as if it has no value. And when you print money like this, and when you use taxpayer dollars like this, it doesn't have any value, and it will continue to lose its value. And please keep in mind that the House approved this bill with a vote of 359 to 53. Of course, only 2 Democrats voted no, and one of them happens to be Tulsi Gabbard, the other one being Rashida Tlaib, who probably had a serious issue with the $500 million headed to Israel. And so once again, it's always the same faces, folks. Tulsi Gabbard, Rand Paul, the only politicians with actual integrity voting for the American people. And so the president, hopefully, can stand up for his motto and refuse to sign the bill. Although it's going to be quite hard, considering it's Christmas and not delivering stimulus aid to people who need it, that puts him in a really tight spot. But honestly, I don't think he should sign this. I really don't think he should sign this bill. He should send a message to these despicable politicians in the crony Washington establishment that this has to stop and people need to seriously wake up. I've been saying that so many times in my videos recently, but the wake-up calls have just been one after another, and people need to seriously start paying attention to what's going on within the halls of Washington. Democrats and Republicans alike. Neither party has your best interest at heart. In fact, speaking of your interest, speaking of my interest, McConnell once again just betrayed us. McConnell joins with Schumer to block potential Trump veto of defense bill keeping big tech protection. The GOP, Mitch McConnell, just took the side of tech oligarchs and fought against the president's push to reform or revoke, even have the conversation about Section 230. So keep that in mind, folks, the next time you go vote. These Washington GOP goons are just as bad as the Democrats when it comes to protecting the establishment. But that's what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still, of course, shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm. Support my channel, support other channels like me, help keep independent content creation, especially within the political domain, alive on this platform. But of course, I gotta get back to work. There's one more video that I gotta record for the day, so I'm gonna get to that. I wanna thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.